Brad Garlinghouse making the rounds, doing some interviews. We'll talk about some of his thoughts. As of right now, crypto market pretty flat on the day. Bitcoin down about 1%, 51,600. Ethereum down about 1.5%, $2,953. XRP down about 2%, 54.5 cents. Out of the top 100, the graph is the big winner of the day, up 14.5%. Fetch AI also having a run of it, up about 6%. Outside of that, pretty flat day for cryptocurrencies. Now, the title of this article, Ripple would certainly welcome an XRP ETF. I'm sure they would. It would greatly expand XRP's reach. It's an investability. The question is, are we going to get one? This is my opinion, not that much different from what you've heard before. We will have an XRP ETF. At this point in time, I just don't think there's enough demand there. Ethereum's next on deck. We will see once that gets across the finish line. From there, I think we'll start seeing bundled products, so multiple altcoins and an ETF bundle. Will XRP make that first wave? I don't know. With the current legal issues, maybe not, but again, we have clarity from a judge that it is a pure commodity. It's free to trade on the secondary market. It just depends on whoever's putting that product together, if they would be comfortable with that or not. The second article is titled, Ripple versus SEC Case is at the End Game. These are the key dates, and we see discovery phase has closed in Ripple versus SEC, sparking settlement rumors. This is what I would say. When we look at the conduct of both sides, they ain't best friends. They ain't getting along. I wouldn't read in the tea leaves there are settlements coming. But I think the key drivers here are what types of fines and penalties is the SEC actually able to get here? How many of those, on-demand liquidity sales, those, institutional sales, how many took overseas versus what would be under U.S. jurisdiction, and you'd be able to, get some fines against that? We don't know those numbers, but we're going to find out here soon enough. I would guess, though, that many of those sales took place overseas, and so the fines and penalties may not be that large. Again, I don't know. We'll have to wait, but if that's the case, SEC might be more willing to deal if they're going to get just some embarrassing amount of money. Who knows? And then secondarily, I think, does the SEC think they can get an injunction of some sort? That would be a hassle for Ripple's ongoing business. Now, I think there's ways around this if they did, but, can they mess with their ongoing business? If so, the SEC may be more inclined to continue forward with this thing and go to appeals and just be a pain. But if the fines and penalties are not going to be, very large, and if they don't think they can get some sort of injunction here, and they're going to, really get wiped out in this court case, it might be to Gary Gensler's best interest here to chef up some sort of settlement here, some sort of agreement that both sides can deal with. What's most problematic is what do they plan on doing with those exchanges, specifically Coinbase, because it gets tough if you settle with Ripple and you agree that XRP is not a security. How does that extrapolate over other tokens out there? They may not want to concede that position and at least leave some ambiguity here where, hey, we don't agree with this, we're going to court. If they agree with this judgment, they can say it's specific to XRP, of course, but then people are going to ask the questions. What's the difference? What's the difference between XRP and Cardano or any other number of tokens? It's a tricky space to be for sure, but Gary Gensler made his own bed here, and he has to figure out some sort of way out of this unless he's just going to drop it in the next SEC chairman's lap. Now, the next article is titled, Ripple CEO says SEC already lost. What does this mean for XRP? And Brad Garlinghouse is right here. Everything that really matters to the SEC, they lost in a big way. Now, I've been seeing some videos on Twitter from Dark Horse, pointing out some various areas where the SEC did have the upper hand, that they won, that they could cause some ongoing trouble, and he's correct. But what the SEC really cared about is what they claimed they didn't. That XRP itself, they wanted that to be named a security, that the sale of that token is a securities offering, and they lost miserably because that relates over to their Coinbase and their Binance cases and really their power over this whole industry. If selling tokens on the secondary market in general are not a securities offering, then the SEC really has no power here over most in crypto. The SEC, of course, had some wins and quite a few transactions deemed securities offerings. The question are, how many of those will be sourced in the US? That's what we're waiting to hear. And yes, they had some wins. They're going to get paid, but that's not what they're after. They're not like you or I that want to collect money. They're trying to squeeze power out of this space, and Brad's absolutely right. SEC lost miserably. What this means, at least until appeal, XRP is a pure commodity. It can trade freely no matter who is buying and selling it. That's a huge clarification from the courts. It's not likely to be overturned. Judge Torres made the lawful decision, maybe not the way she would want the world to be, but the way the rule of law reads today. Because of that, I don't expect anything to be overturned here. Judge Torres is a great judge, and I think she had a real thoughtful ruling that anyone could follow the logic and reasoning and understand why her ruling was written as it was. Next article, when Bitcoin ETFs are right for investors and when they are not. It's this person's opinion that, listen, it's a one-way bridge, and that's problematic for investors because you're missing out on many of the benefits of cryptocurrencies. And I agree as a user, as an enthusiast of crypto, but as a pure investor, ETFs are going to be the way to go for a lot of people. It's not appropriate to self-custody. It is not risk-free. They need custodians. So this is a huge leg forward that allows new people, which is what growth is about, new people to come in and enter this market and invest in this asset class, and that's important. And that's just going to be more liquidity for us, the crypto enthusiasts, to dip into and do our transactions. Lastly, it's an area of crypto we've been hearing about for a long time, but it's really getting hot. We've heard Ripple focus on this, the tokenization of real-world assets. This article is titled, New Technology Will Have Institutions Lining Up for Crypto. They're talking about zero-knowledge Ethereum virtual machine, which enables real-world tokenization on a far greater scale. Understand everyone is descending on this space. We will see who actually builds workable solutions that people actually use, but this will be one of the ways we see crypto adopted from an institutional standpoint and in a significant way. Still a question of, again, who has the system that people ultimately adopt, but tokenization of real-world assets is going to be a huge growth area for crypto. You want to have exposure to it for sure. Make sure you pay attention to that. Let me know what you think down below, and as always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.